Okay, my friends, this is going to be one of the Roger rambles, and I have exposed the fact that dragons were real. Absolutely zero question about it. And the history of dragons, when you start looking, and this is the list of dragons in mythology and folklore. Each one of these is a type of dragon, and where it lists in the world, Arabian dragons, Chinese, Babylonian, Indian. This goes on and on and on and on and on. And every one of these was a different type of dragon, associated different type of culture, a different type of historical background. And nobody could possibly think that this was just all people trying to outdo each other with a type of dragon. This is insanity. And let me show you the dragons, and then we'll go from there. You know, I don't mean this to shock you. That's not my purpose here. What I am trying to do is to present reality in an open way that you can open your mind up and not be just laughed at. Because I've been laughed at for years and years and years, and I still will be forever. But I'm going to tell you right now, this is a dragon. This is his head. This is his entire body to the tip of his tail. These are his legs, and they are the legs and thighs of a human, right down to here. They are the thighs of a human. And guess who said that? All right, this is supposedly from Apollodorus of Alexandria, a Greek scholar in the 2nd century BC. But they don't know. Now it's dismissed. I can't believe it. The work is generally believed to be a 2nd century AD compilation. Well, let's talk about Apollodorus. Okay, the dragon I was just showing you is Typhon. And this is from the Library of Apollodorus, supposedly written before the turn of the, into the AD from BC. It was somewhere, 200 BC, something like that. They're really not certain. But it was well recorded. Now, when the gods had overcome the giants, Earth, still more enraged, had intercourse with Tartarus and brought forth Typhon. That's the one I just showed you. It was a hybrid between man and beast. In size and strength, he surpassed all the offspring of Earth. As far as the thighs go, remember I was real specific about the thighs? He was of human shape. His thighs were human. And of such prodigious bulk, he outtopped all the mountains, and his head often brushed the stars. One of his hands reached out to the west, and the other to the east. From them projected 100 dragons' heads. Never found those. From the thighs downward, he had huge coils of vipers, which when drawn out reached to his very head and emitted a loud hissing. They were all over himself. His body was all winged, and you could see all the wings all over. Unkempt hair streamed on the wind from his head and cheeks. Fire flashed from his eyes. You can come up and read this, but let me show you all those things. It's exactly correct. All right. I know this sounds really silly, but if it's true, it's not silly, and it's true. This is a dragon that runs all the way across North Africa, entire top of North Africa, and that's his throat. We'll see it in a second. He's attacking this giant fish, and he spit the dragon venom on top of his back. We're going to look at that in a second. His throat is cut right here, which is exactly what it said in the ancient text. We're going to look at that in a second. He had the thighs of a human. Precisely what was written in the Library of Apollodorus. It said he had the thighs of a human and then coils like this that ran out from his body. And these are the coils. This is all of North Africa. And this was Typhon. He was the one that was attacked by Zeus, and his throat was cut. It's all written. This is all written. The whole story is. I didn't make it up. Well, let's start with his fiery red eye. All right, here's his eye flashing, streaming backwards. Now, let's go to the rest of his unkempt body. All right, you see these wings coming all over, right here. They're flashing all over him. It's very unkempt. Down here, remember, was the throat, and these are all the scales This is runoff of blood and the effluent of a dead, decaying bodies of a creature. And all of that stuff is running all over down here. I mean, all of the unkemptness. Now, he was spitting down at the fish. The fish is down here now, and that's what, apparently this whole thing happened at the same time. Now, where the fish comes in, I don't know. But I can tell you what, right there, as I showed before, his throat is completely cut, slashed right across. And that's exactly what it says in the ancient text, that Zeus cut his throat with his thunderbolts. I showed you the poop coming out of there. They're living in that because it's fertile. These legs are the thighs. And those coils are absolutely gigundous. Look at the size of them. They come down way over here. This is what I was showing you before, way over here. And they come way over here, too. And he was wrapping them around that fish. Some of his coils were wrapped around a fish. Now let's see what he looked like when they drew him in the ancient art. All right, let's take a close-up look. Like I said, right up here is his head. See that? Now, people say, oh, I can't see, I can't see, I can't see. Well, I'm going to draw it out right on the screen here. Right under here, that's his throat. It comes up right here. This is his nose, runs up around here. This is his head, and all this stuff flares off in the back. This is his big flaming eye. And this is his throat that runs down. All of this spit down on top of that the fish that's down below. This is his nose. These here are the dragon flails. They all have those flails hanging down from their throat. Remember this, I don't want to burn it into my screen. Alright, so here's we're starting with his throat. Alright, now, right up here, I'm just going to home right in, way down here. You can see it runs all the whole distance runs. It's just the throat. All right, and what is on the outside of the throat is the dragon scales. All right, and these dragon scales have little hinges in them so that you can move his neck around. Up above is that little flashy stuff that you see on the side of the dragons on the parades. Alright, so that's his neck coming down. Now, I told you his neck was cut. And it was slashed right here. Cut right here. This is red and black blood coming out. And blood causes things to grow greener than hell. This is a lake that has erupted from the gush in his neck. And it's as green can get because that's what blood does, is causes things to grow green. Guess what else makes things grow really good? Is fertilizer. And where would fertilizer come in from? Well, let's think about that. His head goes running here. This is his body. This is his entire body. These are his legs, which I said are the legs, thighs, the thighs. Remember that. It's so important. Well, here's his butt right there, right? I would say that's about it. Let's see if we can find any fertilization going on. Ooh, look, right there. These people are living right in that fertilizer. Things grow really good inside of poop. And that's what that is right there. They're growing right. I checked this entirely through. That's the digestive system. They have a cloaca. Birds, this is an avian creature. And this runs right down here, and that's the cloaca, and it runs out. That's it right there. It's just pooping right out in the desert, and they're living in it because that's where the best fertilizer is. I've found all kinds of salt things and everything else exactly where I expected to find them. And this dragon is attacking this fish, and that fish is being injured severely. You see all that stuff? That's not just runoff and that is blood vessels. Look over here, look. This is where it actually ate through his skin all the way down into the blood vessels. This whole area here. You see it here? That's all blood vessels. You see how fine that runs out to? This is the arteries. and they squirt down and squirt all the blood down into the tissues. Of course, it's dead now. Now, you see where that stops? Stops right here. That's because they spit out from above, and it stopped, you know, and it only has so much spit, and that's where it stopped. Down here, it's just nice pink flesh. You see, it's the same stuff, only it's nice and pink. All right, it's the same stuff, only you can't really see as deep into it as you can the stuff up above, because it's just rotted right down into it. And you can see right down at the blood vessel level. Isn't that something? It's stunning. Absolutely stunning. And this has been missed throughout history. And the entire Earth, as far as I'm concerned, is nothing but biology, and most of it, as far as I'm concerned, is dragons. Keep your eye on this. Look at what's going on here, and look at these colors of this blue here. You see this? Look at that. What the heck is going on here? And what the heck is up with this color blue? And why is it collecting all around here in these little pools? And where the hell are we? Because it's all over the place. You see this blue? It's everywhere. And what are all of these piles? What is that? If you know anybody that works with leather, ask them if this is what they would expect to see if they were going to tan a hide. Now let me show you where this is coming from. This is what they claim to be the legs. You see the thighs up here? These are the legs, the coils that came down. And that was what was spoken of in the Library of Apollodorus. I'll read it to you uno momento. Remember, these are the thighs. He had the look of the thighs of a human. From down there, the coils ran out all the way up to the back of his body. This is exactly what we got here. All right, this is how they have him portrayed. Obviously, we saw he has the face of a dragon now, not a face of a human. He has all kind of wings and feathers and all kinds of things, because most of them were feathered. Now, I'm going to show you a feather now. I'm going to blow your mind. Now, this is his coils, and, you know, they're just showing them as coils. Zeus is going to cut his throat with his thunderbolt. That's how they depicted it in the ancient text. Now, talking of wings and feathers, that's a feather right there. That's the thickness of a feather. And I think it could very well be a turkey feather. And I'm going to show you where this came from. Okay, I'm going to show you where these feathers came from. They came from somewhere in here. Greg Morrison is one of the researchers that I work with. And he went up here and found these feathers, and I'll show you the formation he found. And I believe this is Quetzalcoatl. There's this feather sticking right up, straight up from his head. And whatever he's spitting out here into the Gulf, I'd like to know. Very interesting stuff. Now, it's quite obvious that he spit it out. Coming out of here, spit it out right out to here. And I don't know what it is, but it'd be interesting to examine it, wouldn't it? Anyway, he runs all the way up the East Coast, and these are feathers. These are not just hills and valleys. These were one-time feathers. You see that? I said these are the pattern of feathers. Those aren't just hills and valleys. All right, and he went out there and he found this. All right, here's one of the areas Greg looked at, and it was flat like this. And then, so in other words, the feather would have been laying like that. And they cut through here to make the road and broke this open. So you got all this kind of little fluty, feathery looking stuff coming down. Now, remember this. You see how it's brown on this side? Brown on this side? You see how it's brown on this side? And then all the way on the other side is brown again. All right, so you got a feather that's this thick. All right, this is brown on one side and brown on the other. And you can actually see it. If you take your time and look at it, you can see how it works the same way as a feather does. These were some huge creatures. Let me show you where this piece came off of. Greg broke it off and sent it to me. to examine. He's doing a fabulous job. He's come up with a whole bunch of other stuff too. I have a lot of people all over the world that are in this loop now, looking into these things. Nobody wants to speak up real loud about it because my other research has been destroyed because of talking about this. But if you don't talk about reality, well, I don't want you around me. All right, you see, this is when that's right next to a road. That's just the thickness of the piece that he broke off of there. And all this is the actual flutiness between the feathers. It's not even one of the tiniest pieces that you can get out of here. These come smaller than that. But not only that, smaller than that is the fuzz between each one of these little strips. That makes it glue together. That's why they glue together. There's a little fuzzy strip in there. And that's these right here. This is I mean, these things are just huge. Now, I don't think this was, I don't know anymore. I really don't know anymore. I don't make any more claims. All I know is that the feathered serpent was spoken about, and if I showed you all of the different types of dragons there were, there's hundreds of them, basically, really, honestly. It's unbelievable. And every culture talked about it. Every culture talked about the giants. Every culture talked about the giants and the monsters and all these things. It's time to take this into serious consideration. You know, I mean, you can walk around in circles and not pay attention to it, and I don't really care. But if you really want, I'm honest, I'm truthful, I want to know everything about everything. No, well, I don't find that to be an accurate statement for 99% of humanity anymore. This is just a very, very hard thing to accept. But if you don't, I'm not even asking you to accept it. As a matter of fact, I couldn't care less at this point. I just want the people that want to see it to be able to see it, not to have it hidden. Boy, you want to talk about a complex quandary. What is the university faculty and expert consultants say about fiduciary duty of universities and faculties? Well, first of all, what's a fiduciary duty? Fiduciary means like you manage somebody's money. So you can't work it so that you make a lot of money and he doesn't make as much. You have to work for him, his best interest, not yours. And I say that the teachers have obviously the same thing. They're working for the best interest of the students because the students are paying them to work for their best interest. That's what a fiduciary duty is to me. Now, however, the universities are fighting back against this. They're saying that the duty of the college and university faculty members is an interesting legal question. Does a faculty member's academic freedom, be able to be honest and true, supersede his fiduciary duty to his institution who tells him don't talk about that stuff? While academic freedom is often invoked as if it provided a faculty member with carte blanche immunity, in reality its protections are very limited. So they can't speak if they wanted to speak. It says, as described in part 1 of this series, faculty members are clearly agents of their institution. You do what I tell you. You go out and tell the kids what I tell you to tell them. That's it. No discussion. This is because by accepting employment, a faculty member agrees to act on behalf of his institution in conducting his business. What about his students? He's being hired to teach the students. Who falls on that line? Who's more important, the institution or the students? I say the students. If it wasn't for the students, there's no institution. This causes a faculty member to be a fiduciary to his institution. That is, a person having a duty created by his employment to act primarily for the benefit of the institution in all matters connected with his employment. I say I don't agree with that. I say they should be acting in the student's best interest. You know, they always get legal, but I think we would be more on the right side of legal than they are if this ever went to court.